Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So thank you all for joining today. Can everyone hear me okay? All right, so my name is Jim Neiman. I work at SAP. I work in a group within our sales side, in the pre-sales side, called Enterprise Architecture. I lead our team in the West. So my team manages or helping customers with very large SAP implementations for customers like Costco and Microsoft. Actually, Microsoft is one of our customers, Disney, so on. So why I'm here today, though, they've asked me to come share with you a partnership that has recently been announced between SAP and Microsoft. So how many people have heard of the Embrace partnership? All right, so well over half, so that's great. So that's what we're gonna go ahead and chat about today. Is the partnership. So let me just give you a little bit of background. So roughly, what we're finding, or the surveys are finding, is that about 80% of the customers that we talk to are moving to a hyperscaler. They're getting rid of their data center. They're going to move over and start to put all of their compute. So I'm sure many of you have been to the Azure presentations throughout this conference. And of those 80%, about 10% of them are already on their way. They're already doing something. They've already moved some compute onto Azure. And they are having, of those 10%, 40% of them are saying that it's not meeting their expectations, that they're not going as fast as they wanted to. They're not getting to the level of implementation that they want. So out of that kind of problem set, SAP also noticed that, right? So we're trying to work with the different companies to try to help them get onto the hyperscalers. And in particular, ultimately we decided that we're working with Microsoft, right? And how do we do this? And so from a customer perspective, the issues that they're having have to do with three different people giving them different answers, right? So the first one, SAP walks in and says, this is how I think you should do it. Then Microsoft walks in and says, this is how I think you should do this move. And then in most cases, we have an SI, somebody like a Deloitte or a Microsoft or Wipro coming in, and they say, this is how we think you should do it. And so this reconciling of these different messages and these different stories is being put on the customer. And to be honest, it's not really fair. It's a lot of extra work. And then you actually go one level higher and you say, then you've got the competitive side. So now competitors are coming in. So a competitor of SAP is Oracle. They're coming in and giving you a message. Then the competitor to Azure, AWS or Google's coming in. So the customers are getting all these messages, and what ends up happening is it causes a paralysis. It causes this, like, who's telling me the right thing? Which way am I going to go? And so that was the beginning, or the genesis of this Embrace program. So Microsoft and SAP got together and said, well, what if we actually gave them a consolidated message? And customers actually requested that. Like, why don't you guys get in a room and actually figure this stuff out? And why am I having to figure this out? So that's really what it was all about. So there was no agreed upon reference architecture, no guidelines of how to move to SAP or to move to Azure. And then how do you actually safeguard the success? So who's seen this same issue at your place? I know you have. Okay. So this is the only SAP slide that's like an official marketing slide that I have for you, but I think most of you might have seen this before. So SAP's whole strategy is around the intelligent enterprise. So we're trying in every way we can to get customers to move to the what we're calling the intelligent enterprise, which we have our intelligence suite, which is S/4HANA, and then we have the additional packages for customer experience, supply chain, things like SuccessFactors and Ariba and Concur and the add-ons on top. But then underneath, we have, down on the digital side, we have data management, we have HANA, we have cloud platform, and then by putting those together through things like artificial intelligence and IoT and analytics, we're trying to drive customers to this intelligent enterprise through the technologies. And really, that's where this partnership comes to be. The sooner that we can get customers to adopt S4, to move on to the hyperscalers and start working through these issues, the sooner that we can get them to this intelligent enterprise and start actually introducing the technology that's for the future. So I'll just go one more kind of level below that. One of the core philosophies inside of SAP is that we need customers to move to the cloud. And the main reason to move to the cloud is the adoption of technology. So if you're in a typical on-premise environment, we come out with a technology, our sales team tries to sell it to you, you ultimately buy it, you ultimately then take it to IT and say, could you put this on my on-prem? Then they implement it, and then you, in the test environment, then you have to test it and everything. So by the time you've actually gotten to production, it's 2 years in some cases from the moment the technology was available for the innovation. So we got to get rid of that. We've got to cut that time out. We need to literally be able to go, okay, this innovation came out yesterday, you can implement it tomorrow. And that's clear up to Hasso, who's our original founder. This is his whole schlick about where are we going as a company. So this, as we move together with Microsoft in the Embrace world, that is the vision, that we have the platform in place, we have the data foundation or digital platform in place, and we start to introduce all of the technologies. Okay, so what is Embrace? What comes together? So there's actually 4 pieces of Embrace. The first piece is a market-approved journey. So we're working together with both Microsoft and the global strategic integrators, and we're coming up by industry with a plan, and I'll go into this in more detail. I have 3 slides going into that. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is have it be very prescriptive within each industry of the technologies that we would assume that you would want to consider in your initial lift onto the system, when you're reshaping your business model, and when you're creating these technologies moving forward. So we'll go into that a little bit. Then the next piece is around reference architecture. So as we were talking about before, SAP would come to you, Microsoft would come to you with different architectures. What we want to do is have a consolidated or a single voice to the reference architecture we would like you to use. So that's the second piece. Then when we get down into the actual solutions, so you could imagine that SAP has, so that Microsoft is certainly going to provide most of the services around the infrastructure. SAP is going to provide most of the services around functionality. But as you start to get into this technology space in the middle around artificial intelligence, blockchain, IoT, we start to have similar products. I'm tempted to say competitive, but what we're actually finding is they're not competitive, they're actually complementary. So as an example, with IoT, you would have a Microsoft Azure service that's actually taking the data off of the sensors and bringing it back into the environment, and then the SAP IoT services are actually updating and interacting with S/4HANA and creating a complete solution. So as we've started to really break down the walls and create this partnership, we're actually finding that the synergies are even better than we were ever anticipating. And then the last piece, so that's the solution, the third piece, and then the fourth piece is actually how do we go do this? What are the services that we provide to actually help you make these decisions and to go through this Embrace methodology? So we'll be talking about all 4 of these going forward. Okay, so the first one is the market-approved journey. And so there's 4 different industries that we've really focused on to start with: retail, consumer products, manufacturing, and one additional one. I don't remember the last one. But so we're working first with Microsoft to say, where are you taking customers in this space, in this industry? And then working with the SIs and saying, where are you taking them? And then coming together with that. And like I said, I'll show you more about that. The reference architecture is the technical blueprint. So where do we start? So all of this in my mind is really allowing you to, sorry about that, is allowing you to actually have a starting place and a place to move from. The solution we talked about, and then the digital services to support that. All right, so let's dig into the actual market-approved journey. So this slide, and I'm not expecting you to read the small words on this slide, and obviously you'll be able to get this deck. But what we're first starting with in all of these discussions is, what is the market drivers within that industry? What are those things that are pushing that, and how do we see that? So within the market-approved journeys, we're seeing 3 different phases: what we call the lift phase, the reshape, and the create. And so in the lift, this is the lifting onto basically onto Azure, and moving the core of what you were already doing, almost just like a lift and shift, right? So that's where the word lift came from. Then once you're up and going, then you move over to reshape. So this is, you're trying to introduce new business models or new functionality to actually change the way you're doing your business. And then as we move from there, then actually moving out into create, where you're creating a new way of working, or maybe even a new business. So we start with the ideas of what are the drivers that are changing your particular industry. So through that conversation, then we would go next into, okay, if you were thinking of those drivers and you were wanting to move through those drivers, then what are the SAP solutions that would drive out those particular business drivers within? So what we have here is an example, which is the consumer products. The last slide was also the consumer products. So things like SAP product management, IBP, S&OP, those might be options for you to actually do when you initially lift and move onto the cloud environment. Then you might, after that foundation is in and the S4 base is in, then you might move to something like SAP Cash Application. For those that don't know, we have a special add-on that allows you to drive out your cash application. So you might want to think about that as your second step as you've moved away from your foundation. And I mean literally, like PLM recipe, IBP planning, extended warehouse, those might be things that you do in the reshape. And then out on the final pieces, now this is where you're starting to introduce the machine learning and starting to do the automation. So you would do things like the lights out finance, industry expansion. So you can see how that works. So then the next slide actually says, okay, those are the SAP things that you might want to consider. And then from a services being provided by Microsoft, and in this case, Accenture, you might want to start thinking about how are you using virtual machines and Azure Kubernetes, and how are you actually implementing these technologies. So back to the whole purpose of Embrace is, let's have these conversations among Microsoft and SAP and the SIs before we come out and talk to you and confuse the customer on all of these different things. All right, so that's market-approved journeys. So, next, and I went back and forth if I should leave this particular slide in the deck. So, what we're trying to depict here is the beginnings of the reference architecture. So, what you have at the top is you have the SAP applications, S4, BW for HANA, SAP HANA, and then you have our SaaS applications, things like SuccessFactors and Ariba and Concur. And then on the right side over here, you have the Azure Platform Services. And as part of Embrace, what we've all agreed is that we're going to put the foundation of our partnership on SAP Cloud Platform. And in fact, Microsoft is now going to sell SAP Cloud Platform within the constructs of the Azure agreement. So just within that, that's a big deal. So as you remember, clear back to my SAP slide, we were talking about that middle layer, right? How do you do artificial intelligence? How do you do blockchain? How does all that work together? Well, we've agreed that the foundation of that is going to be SAP Cloud Platform. So what you probably can't see it well, but what you're seeing here in the yellow is the first 15 services that are in the Embrace bundle going forward. So as part of what Microsoft within the Azure is going to be able to sell to you is like things within the Cloud Platform Foundation, so like application runtime, identity authentication, and then some of the Cloud Platform integration and workflow. So the enterprise messaging, the API management, open connectors, and then onto the cloud extensions like the portal and the web IDE, and so these are the beginnings. So I want to emphasize these are the beginnings, because what we're already finding is that the partnership, we should have done this years ago. Like, we're already starting to break down the walls, and just having our pilot customers and going and having this conversation, we're already getting questions that we didn't even think of problems that we could be solving with this partnership at the next level. So it's fully expected that this, what I'm calling the Embrace bundle, would potentially become larger in the future. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that. Okay, so we've talked about the different applications, we've talked about the solutions, we've talked about the market-approved journeys, but now, how do you actually do this? Like, who's going to show up at your door? How are you going to be able to work through this material? And so what we've done is we've taken our MaxAttention and we've created specific services that can be leveraged through the MaxAttention agreements to be able to help you through these different through the different phases. So, as an example, well, there's basically 3 different areas. The first one is your strategy. So we have to work out, like, what is the strategy? How are you moving to the cloud? How are you moving to Azure? What things are you going to move? And so we have the hyperscale computing strategy, the integration strategy, security strategy, all of those things that are not 1-minute discussions. They're, you know what, we got to think about this in the context of moving to the cloud. So one of the things I'm finding, I've been in a number of customers talking about this, and I'm sure as you guys have been working with the hyperscalers, what you have is a very controlled environment in the data centers that you're running on premise today. And now you're kind of handing over the keys to Microsoft or any of the other hyperscalers and saying, I need you to run these things for me. Well, when you're working on, you know, a one-off application, that's fine. But when you're running the mission-critical SAP application that runs your business, you need to make sure you've got everything tight. You need, particularly like security and your integration strategies, and how does single sign-on work within your environment, and work those out. So within the MaxAttention, we have services that you can use to create that strategy. Then the actual transformation, the design and the architecting of actually the solution itself. So how are you going to set it up? How are you going to move it over? How are you going to actually implement? How are you going to create the integrations? And then ultimately, you have to monitor it, okay? So this is actually a lot of customers are even getting all the way over to this phase, and they're used to having their own tools that they've decided on for the monitoring of these environments. So how does it work with Solution Manager with Azure? And what are the things that you're going to do the monitoring within SAP? What are the things you're going to do the monitoring within Azure? So trying to work all that through and break it down. In fact, this is an area where I think as we move forward, this is going to get tighter and tighter. So that's really about the services side and trying to put this all together. So we talked about the different services, the market-approved journeys, the reference architecture, the digital business services. But as we move forward, and it's already happening, this whole communication with the other providers is already happening. So I would say at this point, most of the communication has been between Microsoft and SAP. We've been working on this for probably as much as a year now. But we are absolutely in the middle of conversations with other providers, like the strategic integrators like Deloitte and Accenture and that. So they're going to be, particularly in the cases of the industry market approved journeys, we want to be able to leverage within the specific industry their content and their know-how of how to implement with ours. So if you add these two things together, what are the benefits, right? So why embrace? Well, why did we even head off in this journey? First thing is to simplify. I said this in the beginning. The whole thought was that you as the customer, you're getting all of these different messages from the different providers. We need to get rid of that. We need to have one voice to you to tell you what we think you should do together. And from an SAP perspective, I'll just be really honest why it's important to us. The sooner that you get onto S4 and you get this whole environment set up, then the sooner that we can really help you with the automation and the innovation going forward and really driving out value to your customers. So if you're spending all your time just getting onto Azure, that doesn't help us from an SAP perspective. So we want to break down those walls and simplify and reduce the complexity. And the other thing that happens with time is money spent. So you spend a lot of money with consultants and things with and it drives a lot of costs. So we're trying to reduce the costs as well. The next thing is to safeguard. So the big vision, like this is a year or two from now, is that literally we would be able to come together so much that we should be able to drop an environment down on Azure for you, ready to go, ready for you, all set up within your industry, right? So that's certainly not available today, but that's the vision. Something like for those that know what the model company is, something like taking the model company, dropping it down on Azure and having you already in a starting place of where we think you should be. And by doing that, we safeguard the solution. We safeguard that you're doing the right thing, that you're implementing SAP and Azure in the way that we think is the right way to do it. And then, I've already talked about this, but the final benefit is really about innovation. I mean, that's kind of the holy grail. That's why we have to make this move to the cloud is the speed to innovation. I think I already talked through all of this. Reduce costs, minimize risk, access to innovation, so I'm not going to. Okay, so as we talk about, and this is my last slide, so as we kind of just put a recap on this whole thing, what's the value of bringing this whole ecosystem together? Why are we doing this? It's really trying to get an aligned roadmap. Where are you going as a customer? How can we, as the SI, the Microsoft and SAP, how can we accelerate that journey? Next is the reference architecture. How can we make sure that you're implementing exactly what we think you should be implementing? So when you're looking at different tools and different services in your environment, how do we make sure that you're picking the right services and you're going forward? And last but not least is the actual services and trying to align where can SAP help, where can the SI help, and where can Microsoft help, and bringing in the right people at the right time to help you make the right decisions. So that is my presentation. I'm certainly ready and willing to take on some questions and answers, or questions. I'll try to provide the answers. Anybody have any questions? Well, thank you for attending my session. I know I'm going up against the keynote speaker, so I was a little shocked that they put me at the same time as a keynote, but it looks like I got a pretty good turnout, so thank you for joining me today.